So here we have Tommy Vetterli from Coroner. Hello, Tommy. Nice to have you in Rock Hard Greece.
Hello. Thanks for having me, man.
Um,
Pleasure.
we had talked something like we had done an interview something like 11 or 12 years ago, and we were discussing about the possibility of a new Coroner album just before your previous show, which I was promoting in Athens. And
Hmm.
is dissonance theory your own hysteria from Def Leppard? Let's say. Hopefully, it's as
Yeah.
much as
Or
that.
yeah, maybe it's more like our Chinese democracy, you know. We wanted to call it reborn too late.
And make a connection with the past, like re-
Sorry,
like reborn through hate.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, like
Yeah, reborn too late.
yeah. So, was it ever considered to leave the past as it is? And how difficult was the decision to take the risk of returning with a new album after so many years of saying that we are working on an album and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, when we started Reunion 2011, you know, we just wanted to play a few shows, few festivals, a few small tours and stuff. And Marky never wanted to an album, you know. He thought, oh no, we're gonna destroy our legacy and stuff like that. And but then after 2 hours, 2 years of playing festivals and tours, Marky had enough and wanted to leave the band anyway. So, and I was talking to Ron and was like, "No, I don't want to stop now. I just have too much fun." And but then it was clear that we have to write new stuff. You know, it's weird that you that we play like the same old classics for years. Yeah, but then
Which were
then
the
you
main
know
obstacles in that journey? Because you started writing songs in 2015.
that's right. Yeah, as we signed like 14 the record contract, and then I started to work on it 2015. But then life came into the way. You know, it's like a lot of stuff happened. Like people died. Like my father, Ron's father. I got through a divorce. Fucking COVID happens. Um, and I think my main problem was my daytime job, you know, as a producer. Like after a whole day working with another band, there is no creativity left. That was my main problem. And even when I had a few days off, like writing here was impossible because I was too much distracted from everything. Because I see work that has to be done in every corner here in the studio. So it only worked when I took like a week off and went to the Swiss mountains just for myself, and then stuff started to flow. But I could do that for like a few days or a week. Then I had to come back to the studio because the next band came in. So that was really hard for me.
Uh,
And maybe I had a little bit of a procrastination problem as well, you know. I did put like during COVID, I would have had time to write, but I wasn't in the mood. It was like I concentrated on other stuff. I was building a huge pedal board, you know, and maybe I was afraid a little bit as well of doing this album. And then, I mean, I took a long time writing the stuff. I was because I'm getting bored with myself really fast. So I always had to have this special feeling when I wrote a riff, you know, maybe out of 30 or 50 riffs, one made it on the album. Stuff like that. It was a bit obsessive, maybe. But
yeah.
I think it was worth, you know, like the songs had time to grow. And yeah, I think that's a good thing.
You just mentioned that you were afraid of releasing new music. You have all
Yeah, maybe.
you have always approached experimentation as a natural part of your music and not as a goal in itself. How can you, after 30 years, more than 30 years, keep that experimental spirit authentic when people expect it from you, and at the same time, you want to present something fresh and different from your past? Is this what made you afraid?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I thought a lot about how this album should be, more like a continuation of Grin, which a lot of people like, but a lot of people prefer the first three albums. And I found out really quickly that doesn't make sense because I'm a total different person nowadays. So I just started writing, and I always told Ron, or we talked about it, that we're gonna write this album for ourselves. And that's what we did in the past as well. We always wrote for ourselves in the first place and not for a crowd. That's maybe why the music is a bit weird sometimes, I guess.
Mhm. The press release mentions that at some point during the recording, you felt that something was missing, something like a
Yeah.
fresh or critical ear. What made
Yeah.
ask for that help? And it was that help
Yeah.
program.
I felt a little bit alone. Like I was, I wrote like everything by myself. I worked on the drum beats with Diego, and they always liked my ideas, and I wasn't sure. I was like, and then I had the idea that I need to work with someone, you know, I trust 100%, like a professional musician. So that's when I asked my good friend Dennis Ross. We work here in the studio for almost a decade. I bring him in when a band has problems with the lyrics or the songwriting, and I don't have time because I work on another project. He's like the Mr. Wolf in Pulp Fiction. He comes in and checks everything out and say, okay, that works, that doesn't work. And we trust each other so much. I was sure when he thinks something is not great, he will tell me. He, you know,
Yeah.
in the first place, I asked him because he's American. And I needed help with the lyrics. Like in the past, Marky wrote all the lyrics, but he also had help from an American friend because if English is not your mother language, it's really hard to write about something half intelligent, you know what I'm saying? So like everybody in the band started to write lyrics a little bit, and they weren't too bad. They were okay, but to me, they didn't fit the weight of the music, and they didn't fit what I had in my mind. I wanted to have it like like a narrative between the music and the lyrics. Like when something happens with the music, that the lyrics go with it and stuff like that. And I just wanted to change the lyrics a little bit in this direction, but together with Dennis, we found out it doesn't make any sense. We have to write from scratch.
Mhm.
I mean, there is bands with great music, and they sing about like slaying dragons and fight on the battlefield. It's okay. You can do that. That's just entertainment, but I think that's not for us.
Yeah, it's not for Coroner for sure.
No, no.
You also chose to work with Jens Bogren for the final mix and the mastering. Uh,
Yes.
did that a similar kind of need lead you to Jens, or you simply wanted somebody more, I could say, relevant or with substantial experience in the modern metal sound, just like, for example, what Celtic Frost did with Monotheist and Peter Tektren?
No, 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 no. I'm totally not interested in that. Actually, I was supposed to mix the album myself, and I mix other bands, I have a lot of experience, but when it came to the end with the recordings, I mean, I started like every riff from scratch. I recorded everything, it was really produced. It sounded almost finished without one plugin. I was obsessive. I recorded I had like I needed almost 3 weeks for finding my guitar sound in the studio. Because I wanted to have something fresh for me. And yeah, at the end I thought, okay, now I can't hear the songs anymore. I think it's time that someone else mixes it. I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And so I searched for a mixer who mixes musical and mixes for the band and for the song and not for his own sound. And I worked with Jens before. He mixed 2 Elevati albums I produced and recorded. So I knew he's gonna be the right choice for this job because the sound was already there, 95%. It was like when I briefed him, it was like, you better not touching my guitars. They're exactly like I want to have them, you know. And but I had problems with the keyboards because there is a lot of keyboards for the album. When I did the rough mix with Dennis, we've been like, oh, they're too loud. We are not a fucking symphonic metal band. Yeah, but I can't hear them anymore. It was like crazy. And give it to someone with a fresh ear, like Jens just did it, like very musical. Sometimes they're very loud in the right moment, and sometimes he deleted them. So I think that was the best choice
Mm-hmm.
to give it to Jens. He did a great job, and he elevated the whole thing to the next level. I'm super happy with it.
Mm-hmm. On the compilation album, the Coroner compilation album, 1995, Peter Haas played the drums,
Mhm.
with whom you have worked with in Clockwork. Did you consider asking him to rejoin on drums after Marky left in 2014?
No, actually not. Like Peter Haas is an awesome drummer. But in the meantime, I worked with Diego a lot before. Diego was a session drummer here in my studio for a lot of projects. He's very versatile. He can play every style. And I was just used to work with him, and we also played together in 69 Chambers because when we first played together, it was like it felt like we played together for 20 years. We had this special connection, so it was clear I will ask him first. Peter Haas would have been an obvious choice as well. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm. The absence of the iconic skull logo from Dissonance Theory cover is very noticeable. What were you trying to express with that choice, and did it have to do with Marky's absence, given that the logo is historically and I could say aesthetically tied to him?
Yeah, of course. I mean, on the original logo, there is our like stage names in it, and of course there is Marky's name. And to be honest, everything we tried, like Diego Rapacchetti is way too long. It doesn't fit in there. And everything we tried, it looked worse than the original. That was one thing why we did choose to not put it on the cover. And the other thing is like it's it's a new start. It's a fresh start. And we kept some stuff like that black stripe. Of course, we kept that. But the logo, I think it says there's something cheesy about it. I think it's more straight without the logo. It's more, yeah, it's at the end, I preferred it that way.
Mm-hmm. can't help but mention that your guitar solos are the highlight of the new album.
Thank you.
You seem to favor a less is more approach generally. Your solos are all about intensity, technique, and emotion, while still staying meaningful. How do you work on your solos?
Yeah, to be honest, when it came to recording the solos, I was sitting here and was like, oh man, nowadays there is so many great guitar players, like technically there is like 12-year-old girls playing fucking Ingrid Malmsteen songs, it's like, yeah, okay. So I concentrated what I think can I do best, and that's just playing from my heart, from my stomach, and from my balls, and I just did, yeah, I concentrated on that. And when I write the solo, to me it has to be like a little song in the song.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same like the track list of the album has to be like a big song with all the songs. That's always my vision.
Can you tell us what's happening in Transparent Eye? I got the impression that the tonality or tuning shifts during the song. How did it come about?
Yes. Actually, this idea is from Jonas Wolf. He's the guitar player from Eloati, and we worked together on the Eloati albums, and he's a great musician, so I showed him some of the songs, and he was like, oh, that could be. We talked about this, and I thought it's a great idea, and oh yeah, okay, let me try it. And the thing is, I play with my right hand, I grab the vibrato bar with the left and just put the bar down, like yeah, like that. I didn't invent it. It was Jonas' idea, and there was people doing that. There were people doing that before. And with the bass, we had to do it with the tuners, like choo 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 choo. So maybe it's gonna be hard to play it live. We have to check how we're gonna do that.
We see that the Death Cult demo with Tom Warrior is included in one of the editions of Dissonance Theory. Do you see Dissonance Theory as a closing of a chapter or a new beginning?
I think it's more a new beginning, And the record company wanted to have something special for the media book edition, and we didn't have recordings for a live thing or so. I think they had the idea to bring the demo in a better quality, and we found out it's exactly 40 years between. And then yeah, we thought it's kind of funny, You listen to the new album, and after that you can listen how everything started 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's a Coroner from the beginning to up to now.
Yeah.
The lyrics for the album were written by Crisinda Lee Everett, who is also working on Coroner's official biography, announced a few years ago. How did the collaboration happen, and can you update us on the progress of the book?
Yeah, it's not all like most of the lyrics are written by her, like but with our ideas and stuff. And two of the lyrics were written by Dennis Ross, the co-producer. And yeah, she contacted us a few years ago, and she wanted to write a book about the band. I don't know why, So when the first interview was like, why? And but she thinks it's interesting enough to write about it, and then we spent hours of interviews, like on Zoom, like stuff from the past. She did that with all the members, and I met her 3 times. she even came to Switzerland once, and I met her on the last two US tours. And she's a very smart person, and yeah, I had the idea. Okay, what can be better than someone who writes books? You know, if you have someone who writes book to write the lyrics,
Mhm.
that
Uh,
was great. But she wasn't used to write lyrics. She writes books, so because lyrics are a bit different. So we had to explain her that a word that has a great meaning in the sentence doesn't sound very good on that part in the song. So we had to, we had the demos, and we put like a piano notes where the vocals are supposed to be, like rhythmically and everything. And then we tried. Ron tried to sing it, and then we found out, okay, this word doesn't. We need another word here, or this is too long, and it took forever, but. It was worth every second, I think. Now I have what I had in mind.
Apart from your involvement with Creator, have you ever been offered to join another well-known metal band?
Yeah, I played in a lot of other bands, I like after or right before Creator, or was it after? No, before. I played for a singer-songwriter, Stefan Eicher. He's not metal, but he was huge in France back at the times. He still is. Um, I once got an offer from a German band I didn't like. I rejected that. They wanted to pay me a lot of money, and but I didn't like the style too much, and yeah, they had strange costumes on stage, so I was a bit, oh no, no thanks. Um, yeah, I played in Voodoo Cult, Voodoo Cult.
Dave Lombardo.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I actually stopped playing guitar when I left Creator. I was bored with playing the guitar. I wanted to concentrate on producing, and I bought a lot of analog synthesizers. I wanted to learn how that works. It was way more interesting than just playing guitar. Bored me a little bit. So I didn't play for almost 10 years.
Uh, how would you describe the evolution of Coroner through the years? I'd like to have a brief comment, just a sentence of each of your studio albums, start
Okay.
from RIP.
Yeah, RIP was the first album, and of course, we wanted to show that we uh, practiced a lot. So it's very technical. We tried to play as many notes as we could, which was maybe a bit naive, but yeah, it's what it is.
1987. It was fine.
Yeah.
Then Punishment for Decadence.
Yeah, punishment we already learned a bit, because when we recorded RIP, we never played the show. So then we learned what works live, because if you play fast all the time, it gets boring. So sometimes a little groove and slower stuff works better live. So we concentrated on this a little bit more. That's what we learned with playing those shows and tours.
And No More Color.
No More Color, we took that further. I think for me, No More Color is the first album that defines the bands for me. I like the sound of that album. It was the first record we went to the US to mix. I mix it with Scott Burns, and I think that
Yeah.
came out really great.
And then we had Mental Vortex.
Mental Vortex, we was produced by Tom Morris. He flew over from Florida to Berlin to record with us, and it was the first producer before we went to the studio to record, we went to a rehearsal room to work with him a little bit on the songs. That was the first time. Before that, we just went to the studio and recorded what we wrote, but that was the first time we really worked with a producer, and he brought in a lot of great ideas. I learned a lot from that session.
And then we had Green, which was an album that people either love or hate.
Yes, that's right, which is good.
It means that
yeah. I mean, that time was a special time, like heavy metal was going down, everything. I was really bored with what other bands were doing, and it was this grunge scene came over from Seattle, and in Switzerland there was this techno scene becoming big, and it was all new and fresh and exciting. So everybody tried to be a bit more experimental, I guess, and yeah, that's what came out. I'm proud of this album. I think if like old school thrash fans would be a bit more open-minded and listen to it without having this, then yeah.
I think that Green was better received after many years after it's
true.
Many
yeah, true.
Got the meaning of Green many years later, because it was.
Yeah, I agree.
When I first started to listen to the vinyl, I said, "Oh, what is it? Is it Coroner? Did they give me a wrong record?" I looked at the
really. For me, it's not that different. I mean, there is like fast songs on it, and I don't know,
For Dissonance Theory,
it's boring. It was always boring for us to do the same things, so we tried stuff. Like I said before, we wrote for ourselves, not for a crowd.